It's been a fascinating first half. Geelong by 9 points, a couple of big storylines with Paul Chapman on report and an incident involving Heath Grundy to be looked at. Both teams are back out onto Simmons Stadium and our man Brett Kirk is standing by on the boundary. Kirky?
Yes, Bells, it's been a great preparation for both sides coming into the finals. The Cats have matched the start of the Swans, which have been really hot over the last month. What they need to do is maintain in the third quarter. They've been really sluggish in their third quarters over the last month. So Chris has got to be talking about holding ground, weathering the storm, getting your hands in the footy. Let's not take too many risks in this first 6 or 7 minutes.
Kirky, have you got a selection for us, given the first half that we've seen, and obviously they've felt each other out a little bit. What do you think second half coming up?
I see the emotional connection to the Swans. They're going to hang in there. It's going to be a close one. The Cats have got the edge at the moment, though.
A lot to play for, obviously. Tom Harley and Mick Malthouse. Geez, it was a good first half of footy, wasn't it? Just a really good game.
It was, and it was a really good players playing well, Baz, and it's been hot from the very first centre bounce. The contested possessions and clearances are really important at the moment. And the major stat, I guess, where there's a huge discrepancy, Mick, is the inside 50s, 35-20 in favour of Geelong.
Yeah, and I said to you, Tommy, we were talking about it off air, rarely can you beat a side of the class of Geelong unless you're relatively close to them inside 50s. Neither side have really punished the other side because of it. There's only, in that quarter, it was 3 goals 2 to 1 goal 3, but on the evidence of that quarter, Geelong, I thought, dominated it and probably couldn't put the Sydney side away. But that's probably a credit to Sydney as well, because there's a lot of in and outs just on top of the 50-metre line. But this is a quarter, the wind's dropped marginally. I think Sydney have got to be in front really to have a chance of winning this game, because there's no real run in the game at
three-quarter time, do you mean, Mick? They've got to be in front at three-quarter time?
Sorry, yes. At three-quarter time, I think they've got to be in front, because I can't see... It doesn't seem to be that Sydney can get that run from Jetta and Shaw and these sort of players. The ground allows it, but Geelong don't allow you to do it, and that's a credit to Geelong. So it's going to be a maul, and when you've got a mauling sort of a running rush, Geelong are the side that seem to be able to get the 3 players out the back 3 on 3, and I think that creates all sorts of trouble for the Sydney side, albeit the fact that Sydney got great courage, great heart, so I wouldn't discount the fact that they can still win the game and maybe win it well.
So many chapters within the game itself, 41 of the last 43. The Cats have won here, the last side to beat them, round 23 last year. It was this side, the Sydney Swans. Tom Hawkins playing in his 100th, maybe a Coleman medal, a very long possibility. Home final on the line, though, the biggest of the issues these sides are contending with this afternoon. Kelly, first kick, ends up with Christensen over the top. There's a chance. Selwood, good ball to Johnson. Bounce was cruel. McVeigh picks up the ball and then fires it inside. Ends up with Shaw. Pressure from Kelly is good. Off the ground. Now Murdoch just charges at the ball. Kelly picks it up, dishes it to Christensen. Couldn't take it cleanly. Kelly could. Fires it. No room for any player. Podsiadly touched off the boot, bouncing ball. Hawkins takes it in one arm, tries to muscle it in the Hawkins direction. Johnson is there. Backwards it goes to Richards. Grundy didn't have anywhere to go. Kick was smothered by Selwood. It stayed in. Podsiadly out in. Couldn't keep it in.
I think just adding to what I said previously, I've got a half a feeling that Chris Scott realised that too. They had 7 backline players. Sydney went back with them. That opened up Geelong's forward line with a 3 on 3. So the stakes are really high this next 5 minutes.
Mumford and Vardy doing the ruck work. It comes over the back, gathered by Grundy. On report, as we know, quick kick forward by Kennedy, or in fact not on report, but an incident that will be looked at. Here's Lonigan. The middle of the ground when he marked. He sends it towards the hot spot. McVeigh's been so good defensively this afternoon. Bird on defensive 50. Terrific kick to McGlynn. They're on here, Sydney, but there's not a lot to kick to, so they hold up momentarily. Back to Jetta. Then a long kick towards the goal square. Really favours Scarlett. It bounced over his head though. Walsh, a chance. Hunt arrives to give the numbers, and that's a handball over the line under pressure. And of course, that is allowed. If he did that and hit the out of bounds area, it would be a free kick every day of the week, Tom.
No doubt. Slightly under pressure there, Scarlett. Really the only option the Swans had on that occasion, with the forwards pushing right up. Jetta probably needed to get, well, not probably, needed to get better output from that inside 50. So Swans need to be a bit smarter with the way they're bringing the ball forward at the moment.
If you've just joined us, Swans by 2 points at quarter time. Cats 9 at the long break. Early going third term. Joel Corey a warrior for a long time. Kick, well, end up on Duncan's chest. He goes quickly forward, and Tommy Hawkins, he takes it low down. I want to say too far out to score, but with Tommy Hawkins, he can drive the ball a long way. He went in the direction of Stevie J, ended up with O'Keefe, now to McVeigh, and now to Bird. They raffle it around at half-back, the Swans, back to McVeigh, and now to Bird. And to the wing it flies. In the end, Lonigan, who's kicked a goal this afternoon, he killed the ball and sent it over. Tommy Walsh on screen, the Irishman playing game 3 for the Swans. Spent a couple of years with the Saints. He played for Ireland in the international series in 2011, was sensational.
West got his hands on the footy first. Selwood, bottom of the pack again. He flicked it out to West, who sends it long from outside 50. Got a bit on it, but never any accuracy. It's out of bounds on the full.
If the game continues like this, it's going to be one of those anomalies where the Swans dominate total possession because Geelong are being able to set up someone behind the ball, and therefore the Swans chip around without actually getting any scoreboard penetration.
Richards, O'Keefe, and then McVeigh swinging it towards half-back. McVeigh now with 19 disposals. It spills out the back towards the line. Good's got his boot to the ball. It stays in, so he goes again. Why wouldn't he? He gains about 15 metres. That was good work by the dual Brownlow medalist, and a throw-in on half-forward for Sydney.
Kirky, quick question for you. Just watching Jude Bolton, he's come back after a pretty serious knee injury. How have you seen that?
Yeah, I've kept a close eye on it. He does look like he's favouring it slightly. It hasn't changed his attack on the ball or how hard he's working, but it does look like he is favouring it slightly. I'm not sure if it's having any effect on his game, though.
Cats with the last 3 goals of the game. No goals for either side to start this second half. Geelong by 8 points. A really interesting stage of the game now. Sydney, you get the feeling, really need the next one.
A quick kick. Walsh, Scarlett, the old warrior wins the battle, but Goods picks it up. Can he score? Decides to put it to the hot spot. Well, in the end, Corey Enright just thumped the ball behind and happy with the minor score.
15-5. 15.
That's a rarity, that free kicks if it played, but it was on. He's just trying to cut the Enright from allowing the play on.
Quick! I'll make on.
So Enright, we thought was gone for the game earlier on, went down the race and is playing a role, as he always does for the Cats, over the top to Murdoch. Strong hands from one of the 10 debutants this year for the Cats. Remarkable speed, onto the left he goes, quickly to half forward, Hawkins the target. Well done Mumford, just floated in front. Just a quiet start to this third term after a ferocious first half. Grundy, indiscretion in that second term to McVeigh, and now to Goods.
Goods is coming a long way up the ground this quarter compared to the first 2.
Enright and Chapman, they raffle it between each other. Enright takes the mark, then dishes off to Chappie, little one to Scarlett. His last game, we think, at Cardinia Park. He's had a remarkable journey here. He's won 75% of the games he's played, and now Vardy, his career just starting. Back from the hip injury, kicked a goal in that last term, sends it to the wing, but Armstrong is there. He dishes it off now to Grundy, and now the long ball to half forward. Pike, 2 Cats to beat. Vardy flew, spilt with Harry Taylor out the back into his arms. Now Kieran Jack wheels onto the left boot, over the top, a wonderful ball to Goods.
Been able to sort of get back in the game here, the Swans. They've just controlling possession, being really patient with the way they're using the footy.
Well, Goods, he saw McGlynn lead, ignored him and thought he could go the journey. Enright went back with a flight, took the mark, and then short to Mackie. So the Cats dominated the inside 50s late in the second term. The Swans getting a fair bit of the football early going third term.
Yeah, just a bit of a stalemate in the game at the moment as Vardy flies, but in front, Kelly. 30 minutes since the last goal by the Sydney Swans and 18 minutes since the last goal for the Cats. Now West running past Christensen. He hugs the line. Bartel, the back lead was brilliant. Marked well in front of Johnson, going back towards his own goals. And Hawkins, did that bounce? I reckon it did. He got his handball forward. Murdoch left it behind. Richards and Johnson ends up with a football. That was nicely done. They worked it well to Armstrong. Through the middle of the ground, McGlynn off to Hanbury. Not a great handball. Scarlett's there. Tries to work it out. It falls McGlynn's way. They're still on here. Sydney. Tommy Walsh on his own. He marks 35 metres out directly in front.
Really good play by Tony Armstrong. He's been a valuable addition to the Swan side, using the ball off halfback. That's a great tackle by Bird to cause a turnover. McGlynn's been up and about, playing a variety of roles and able to hit up Tommy Walsh, but just needed, it was clean ball use from Armstrong from halfback, which was the difference.
Tommy Walsh playing just his third game of AFL football, first since round 9 against St Kilda, the club he spent a couple of years with on arrival from Ireland. He kicks, and we've got a 1-point game. Well, a bit lucky there, the Swans. There was a turnover ball right in the centre of the ground. Scarlett applied a strong tackle when Sydney had the ball, and they were fortunate that the footy spilt out to Ben McGlynn, and from that point on it was just a long kick down and Walsh in best position. I think most players around the forward line for Sydney thought the footy was heading the other way. Geelong by a point, Sydney 6-10, Geelong 7-5.
Yeah, McGlynn has played in a variety of positions. We've already ascertained that. He was the one that was able to deliver the ball. He had a good sider of that, looked over the top. Tom Walsh was by himself. Good finish.
Third game, third goal for Tommy Walsh, wearing the number 17 jersey that
Play on.
the other famous Sydney Irishman wore in Kennelly. Quickly the Cats go forward, and Matt are terrific. Another one of these recycled players for the Swans that has just found a new lease of life in Sydney. 8 of the 25 listed today for the Swans have played football elsewhere. A remarkable side at getting the best out of footballers. Goods, Selwood, real quality. McGlynn at the fall of the ball. Lonigan wrapped him up. Jack picks it up, tries to get around Bartel. He held on to him. Jack got the ball to Goods and then short to Bolton.
Clever by Goods. That's a play, would have blazed away, had blinkers for the goal, but looked inside and found Jude Bolton, who's become a bit of a goal kicker of late.
So Scarlett in game 283, Walsh in game 3. Just having a bit of tussle at the top of the goal square. Meanwhile, Bolton, who closes in on game 300, is going to try and put the Saints in front from just on 50. He's offline, and this game has no leader.
It's just a terrific game, and they've missed Bolton around that forward line. That they able to take the mark, take a bit of pressure off other players.
Yeah.
So Mackie marks the quick kick in and plays on. Comes grandstand side. The mark not taken by Mumford. Kelly at the back. He kicks towards the line. Now how will this sit? Duncan's done well, or did he? Holding the ball.
Well, there's consistency about it now. I think the Geelong crowd certainly won't like it, but that's not a great deal of difference between that and the previous one played against the Swans.
I guess the thing there is he would have stepped over the line, but he knows the umpires are hot on that now, so he came back inside the field of play and was caught for holding the ball. That was well done by Bolton. It spills out the back though. Lonigan's handball was partly blanketed. Here's Jack. This would be some sort of kick. He's kicked it, and Sydney are in front. Kieran Jack on the boundary line, and nobody saw that coming. The chorus of boos tell you it's a Sydney result. Sydney by a goal. That was a wonderful kick from right on the boundary line in front of the newly named and under construction players stand, just with enough on it to clear the line. What a beauty.
What about the development of Kieran Jack? He's become an elite midfielder in the competition. Back when he started, we actually had a rule called the Jack rule. He used to tag Gary Ablett, and our job was to go and make Jack earn every kick, and it became the rule for every tagger that came about. So he's really developed. Great to see.
Well, we've got a cracker on a Saturday afternoon, and right on cue, Kieran Jack sends it inside 50. Well done, Harry Taylor. Tommy, the last 5 goals have been scored at the right of the screen, or the construction, or the water slide end as it's now known. I just wonder what the breeze is. We'll get down to Kirky. Josh Hunt goes in the Hawkins direction.
Get a good look at the breeze here, Hayne, because I think it's going left to right, so Tom Hawkins will be kicking right into the teeth of it.
He's so strong. lifted his game to another level. I know that was started off really at the last year's grand final, but he's got great belief in himself.
Just to show you how much is at stake, or illustrate it, right now Sydney are hosting Adelaide next weekend. If Hawkins kicks this, it's a drawn ball game, and Sydney are going to Adelaide. Hawkins, long ball. He's getting very used to kicking a long goal for the Cats, and he kicks one now. You talk about the consequences. Swans draw or lose, they go to Adelaide. Swans win, they host the Crows. This is fabulous.
Well, that's what makes this game, I guess this game in particular, so much hinges on it for the rest of the round. And to have two quality sides who have got great records, it's just terrific.
Welcome back to Saturday afternoon football. Have a look at the live ladder. Right now, level ball game. The Swans are going to Adelaide next weekend. That's assuming the Crows win, and the Cats are staying in Melbourne. And Tommy Hawkins. Sometimes it's not who you think you are. As we just go back, Stevie J, I think we're having a look at a player down. That is Hanbury, and we understand. We might just have another look at in a minute. Stevie J was just letting him know that it's a man's sport, and Stevie J doesn't like getting beaten at the Cattery. He is right involved emotionally in this game, and he's got the ball right now. Tackled by LRT, or was Johnson in the end. Ball spilt. Joel Corey there. Johnson. Duncan intercepts quickly, hurries the ball forward. Richards is there. Stevie J picks it up. The look away for Kelly. Was picked off in the end by Matner. Intercepted by Kelly. Bounced back to Matner. And now to McVeigh. Enright, Murdoch, Harry Taylor, they all fly. The Swans stayed down. It ricocheted to Taylor Hunt. Now to Mackie. And now Podsiadly out the back. He set himself, couldn't take it. Kelly did the crumbing. The tackle from Richards, extraordinary. He stuck the tackle and he made the Cats earn it. We just go back in the middle. Stevie J knocks Hanbury to the ground. He sees Hanbury down. He goes, I'll give you a hand getting up.
It's often you say, get up, get up. Not often you say, I'll give you a hand up. But
I think there's a little bit of, I shouldn't have done that.
Bit of by play, get him up so he's not staying down. Yeah.
I'll be the good guy because that was a long way off the ball.
Only Stevie J with that. And the other race that we shouldn't forget about, Tom Hawkins with his 2 goals has gone to 60 and drawn level with Matthew Pavlich in the race for the Coleman medal, which may well be decided tonight. Jack Rebold playing for Richmond tomorrow, and that's the other very interesting individual race, Tom.
Yeah, it's the individual race for the Coleman medal, and probably by extension the individual race for the full forward position, the All-Australian side, I think.
Seems to be that way now, doesn't it? The man that gets the medal gets the spot. Here's Christensen through the middle of the ground. He turned back into trouble. Well done, Jetta. It's gathered by Bird, sends it long. Players have gone down. Scarlett kept his feet though. Cool to Hunt. Now back to Mackie. Defensive 50. Looks upfield. Harry Taylor breaking for him. He looks upfield. Chapman is on. Chapman, no, not favoured by the kick. Teddy Richards read it well. Runs into Christensen. Incorrect disposal. And Podsiadly held up and will go back. Christensen will take his free.
Taylor, long ball. Hawkins a target. Johnson did well. Spilling ball. Stokes. Stevie J the look away to Chapman. Inside 50. He's already got a couple. He's across the face. So that is lead change number 7.
The Swans have injected Jude Bolton into the middle to give him some more bite. That'll definitely test his knee out.
Looks like Tommy Walsh is off too, Kirky, for Luke Parker.
Yeah, the tough nut Luke Parker's on. He's been injected into the game.
So Malcheski taken high as he kicked. That really should be a down the field free kick, which it couldn't have been because it was out of bounds on the full, but the umpire missed that high tackle, so a little bit unlucky there, Sydney. And a free kick for Geelong. They send it back in. Hawkins with a big fly. Lonigan it was that sent it in. Strong tackling at the base of that pack by Duncan. Ball's still alive. It fires out McVeigh's way. Mumford there, Hanbury, and Richards with a clearing kick. It wobbles in Bolton's direction. It went over his head. Now we've got a whistle. Free kick for Geelong for holding on. Against Adam Goods, Lonigan with the free for that action right there.
Swans know how to really zone things off. And you can't lead and get a mark in this. You've got to take a big catch.
Well, Mumford, terrific. Last line for the Swans.
Thank you.
So 7 lead changes, and on 4 occasions it has been a drawn ball game. Malchaski now just trying to get the Swans out of danger.
That momentum has now swung back again to Geelong. Sydney certainly had it in the first part of that quarter. That's why they were able to get back in the game. They really have to wrestle that back if they intend to be in front at 3/4 time with that slight breeze favouring Geelong last quarter.
So Hanbury just rushes the kick. Josh Hunt is there, crashing through Mackie. Couldn't control it. Well done, Bird. Gave it off, and they start to roll through the middle. LRT'd inside to Jetta. He kicks. He's looking for McVeigh. The kick was terrific. They've got a few on the run going back. The Swans. McVeigh gets called to play on over the top. Well, the kick was good. Kennedy, he recovers. He fires. And he's just offline.
Shows his strength again there. Josh Kennedy, another really good game, 16 disposals, 10 of those contested. Just kept his feet at the right time, just couldn't quite finish off with the goal.
So scores the level yet again at Simmons Stadium for the 5th time this afternoon. We've had 7 lead changes, dangerous kick out, but okay, marked by Stokes in the back pocket. So Stokes takes his time, nothing obvious on. He drives it towards the wing. West got high, no mark. Hanbury, bottom of that pack, wanted a free kick. Grundy's handball. West arrived, just got his boot to ball, done brilliantly to Stokes. Now Selwood, the skipper's away through the middle of the ground. He's had a couple of bounces. Podsiadly breaking for him, goes long instead. Duncan wrestling with Malcheski. The umpire says free kick to Geelong, play on, goal. Geelong by 6 points.
To contest the ball because you're a front guy to get the ball up. No, but you blocked him first initially because he was trying to get at the ball and you turned around, arm around him and blocked him. I never arm around him, but you had your arm out. You blocked him.
Umpire Simon Meredith with the explanation. Well, to the naked eye, that looked a very tough call. If there was a whistle there at all, you felt for sure it was going Sydney's way. But Mitch Duncan kept his feet, played on, kicked a goal. Cats by 6 points.
Crucial play here. You just see Malcheski and Duncan. Geez, I reckon you probably let that go. It's called a hold on Malcheski to Duncan, but in the end didn't really matter.
Very harsh.
Lead change number 8. Quickly they go again inside 50. Off hands. Chapman been reported. Might be the story of the week. Quickly, high up and under. Johnson sits underneath it. Hanbury, tough as always, just handballs. They've got to be good here, the Swans.
Selwood, he created the last goal. He's the one who got the ball out of the centre again. He has really lifted his intensity. He's just such a wonderful leader.
West, Mumford, Johnson. Kelly does the tackle. O'Keefe, he spills the football. This has been just a wonderful advertisement for this great game of AFL. 2 teams desperate. We're in September and they have so much to play for. The winner hosts a final in week 1. A draw is not good enough for the Swans. They must win. We haven't had a draw this year. Perhaps this afternoon. Scarlett, last game at Cardinia Park. Bouncing ball now. Corey Enright, does he have the pace to beat Pike back to the ball? He does, and the agility just to dance inside and then find a target was wonderful. Taylor back to Enright. Now through the middle. West is there. A runner in Kelly. Kelly goes back onto his right boot. Goes to half forward where Selwood takes it cleanly. Now to West. Quick floating ball. Oh, Christensen, he had Matner to beat. And the free kick will go the way of Christensen.
I reckon it might be against Grundy coming in on the front.
Wasn't against him.
Yeah, Grundy didn't need to come in as it turned out. Matner played it really well.
We'll just put this into perspective. A goal here and it's the biggest lead of the match. 12 points. And that's what it is. It's a ripper at Simmons Stadium. So the largest lead of the match so far rests with Geelong. 10-6, 66, 7-12, 54. The winner, remember, hosts a final next weekend. Either way, the Swans play Adelaide. And the Crows, remember, have won 12 of the last 14 against the Swans. Geelong, who they play, is still up in the air.
So just under 5 minutes remaining in this third term, and Geelong with the biggest lead of the game. They lead it by 12 points, 10-6, Sydney 7-12. Both teams fighting for the right to play finals football in their home state in round one. Where is Sydney's response? Kennedy to Bird to Mumford. It was blanketed off the boot. They go again, the Swans. O'Keefe just got his boot to ball. It's getting really intense in the middle now. Johnson, handball to Stokes. Geelong answering. They are the reigning premiers, of course. Remember that. Here's Taylor Hunt. Their season and their premiership claims not done with yet, and the mark taken by Hawkins. Players streaming towards goal, but we've seen his finishing not only this season but already in this term. He's so good from here, he may as well go back.
A really good build-up. James Kelly involved. He's now up to 13 tackles, and the crowd starts to get behind the Cats when they start to move the ball really cleanly through the middle of the ground, and Hawk on the end of it.
So this for an 18-point lead and his third goal of the afternoon, and it would give him 61 goals for the season. Hawkins on his way, sends it very high. They're going to contest right on the line. Vardy had his hands to it. It's taken over and quickly kicked back in. Geelong's lead, 13 points. And Bird has marked a sure kick in.
And that was a very, very lucky get by Sydney, because Harry Taylor ran down unopposed into the goal square. We know what his marking capability is like. And one of the Sydney players didn't go with him.
The Cats, they press again. Podsiadly. He rolls around onto that left boot of his. Vardy the target. The ball bounces though to Kelly. And Kelly off a step, goes long. Oh, floating across, Uncle Paulie. So Chappie's having an afternoon. He's kicking goals. He's on report. He's got 2-2. And he's already thinking about running around. He's got 3. And the Cats are out to the largest lead of the afternoon, 19 points. So Mr. Momentum has changed address again, and he's firmly in the Cats camp at the moment. They've kicked the last 4 goals of this match, and suddenly it's a 19-point lead after the Kieran Jack goal got the Swans out to a 6-point lead. That wasn't so long ago.
It's a good mark by Chapman. Grundy was wrong-footed, so he got caught out as the ball fell short. Good players always keep their eye on the football. Chapman did that, drifted across in front. He was never going to miss the goal.
Here's Kennedy. Sydney really need the next goal. He breaks out of the middle, goes long in the Goods direction. Well done by Harry Taylor. He drifted across the front. Now a dangerous ball at the back for Lonergan to control. Taylor went again. Good tackle, Goods. Close to the line, Mackie. Out of trouble. He looks upfield. He sends a high ball towards half-back. Bird under the foot. He couldn't mark. Well done. They socketed the ball forward, or kept it moving forward, Geelong. It was a nice kick by Stokes. It's still alive now on the wing, and that will do Geelong. They played that beautifully.
Good numbers, good run, know their ground, know their players. Sydney haven't been disgraced this quarter, just that Geelong have really picked up another tempo.
So the Cats by 19 points. Christensen maybe taken high by Mumford. Umpire says no, and he races in to bounce the footy.
Thanks, Al.
Still got a spare man back at the moment. The Cats, no, now Mumford's drifting forward to engage Tom Lonergan.
The last 4 goals of the game, the Cats. Here's Selwood around the back of the pack. Hunt, a long kick. Christensen underneath that. He's got clear of Bird and marks. He looks upfield. Hawkins is one target. Vardy's down there as well. He goes to a more central location, and Selwood marks. Well done, Kennedy. Diving across the boot. Not easy to do. Podsiadly still a chance. Here's Hawkins for 5 in a row for the Cats. Geelong doing everything possible to stay at home next week. Tommy Hawkins has 3, and he has the lead in the race for the Coleman medal. With that goal, he goes to 61 and skips a goal clear of Matthew Pavlich, the Fremantle captain. But more importantly for Geelong and the man on screen, a 25-point lead. It is going to be mighty difficult for the Swans, who won here in round 23 last year, to come back from here.
Well, Tommy Hawkins, he was the finisher. Have a look at the Coleman medal hunt. Tommy Hawkins leads it, although Pavlich and Revolt have a game in hand. It's not often about who you are, but who you think you are. And right now, Tommy Hawkins reckons he's the greatest full forward that's ever lived. He is in a purple vein of form. He is on fire at the moment, and the Cats are too. The last 5 of the game and 8 of the last 10. The Swans need to wrestle momentum back, Tommy.
Well, he gave away an absolute soda early in the game too, Tom Hawkins, to Steve Johnson. So I don't think he's thinking about the Coleman. He's firmly thinking about a home final for Geelong next week.
The Cats have played their last 15 finals at the MCG. The last interstate final was the night that Davis had that remarkable 5 minutes in his career. Scarlett, a pillar of the Cats' back 6 for 15 years.
That's where the Swans are missing Sam Reid at the moment. They're not getting enough contest in the air deep.
And right now the Cats are playing week 1 in Victoria. Murdoch, we've spoken about his speed, the quickest at the combine last year. He's been a find for them this year. And Harry Taylor, his hands, they are so safe. He's so composed. McVeigh, he chases. Taylor gets the kick away though to half-board. Vardy, Hawkins, 2 big Cats. It spills. Chapman, he crumbs well quickly. Inside 50, Christensen. Well done, Johnson. Held the ball up, got control of it, gave it off. Grundy now to Armstrong. The Swans need one. Goods is on the end of it. No one inside 50 for the Swans. McGlynn and McVeigh, they get back. Long ball. Goods, well, it's all Cats though. As was the third term. It was all Geelong. The last 5 goals of the third term after the first 2 went the way of the Swans sees the 3/4 time lead. A very healthy 25 points. A lot of football left to play. Kieran Jack, he will need to have a big final term. Saturday afternoon football, the Cats by 25 at the last break. I tell you what, Mick, as you're thinking about coaching, have a look at this. John Longmire, a beeline to Alex Johnson, gets to him.
Yes, well, I guess you've got to get your message across very quickly, and a young player is learning the game. John Longmire's been around for a number of years, so he would understand what's at stake and what he needs to do.
Well, it is big stakes at Simmons Stadium, as we've harped on about all afternoon. The winner stays in their home state and hosts a home final. The Swans are playing Adelaide either way. Will it be at ANZ or at Amy?
Away we go then, final term, and O'Keefe with the first kick of the final term. Duncan, Mackie, Malcheski right there with him. Beautifully done by Bartel into the path of Mackie. Just a little touch, pushed forward. Chapman, ball to be won. There is Johnson, who we spoke of and saw those pictures of at 3/4 time. It's never nice, I'm sure, when the coach is coming your way, Tom. I guess you've got a feeling, even with a peripheral vision, the coach might be coming.
Well, really good opportunity. He's obviously been given the task of manning Chapman in this last quarter. He's a good young player. He's got great leadership capabilities and potential. Good challenge for him.
Selwood didn't have the football. Free kick. First goal of this final term. If it goes Geelong's way, that might just about snuff out any hope of the Sydney Swans getting back into this game. And they'll be aware of that, the Cats. Super keen, I'm sure, to get the first of the last quarter. Taylor towards Mackie. Jack got in front on free kick.
Play on.
Who does play on to Selwood. He's had a very busy start to this final term, and too easy. Mitch Duncan onto the chest, he marks, and that's virtually directly in front, only 35 metres. Might be the first goal coming up right here of the final term.
Interesting to see who his opponent was at the time too. Look who's on the mark. I
felt for him as he was on the lead. Alex Johnson's just got one of the great sprays of all time, and that happens first minute, third, final term.
Mitch Duncan in his 50th game. The boy from Kareen via East Perth. He's missed it. 26 points is Geelong's lead.
The other medal up for grabs in round 23 is the Brownlow medal, and Joel Selwood not doing himself any harm with today's game. 23 disposals, 14 of those contested, 7 clearances. He'd be up and amongst the votes, you reckon, today.
Bartel lurks around the place, so too Murdoch. Ends up with West, now to Mackie. Long ball, likes kicking a long goal, and he's done that right now. Got an uncanny ability, Tommy, to just drift down and kick a goal when the Cats need one.
Yeah, he does. I guess he came into the Geelong back line when the side started to really emerge, and he carved an niche for himself across half-back. He reads the play exceptionally well, uses the ball well. Great link player, and has a nose for goal, no doubt about that, home.
Yeah, it was an interesting kick by Shaw going to the windward side, which gave Mackie or any Geelong player the opportunity with the football to get the wind behind him. And that's what he did. He used the ball beautifully and straight over the head of the kicker, the player who kicked the ball in Reece Shaw.
32 points now, the Cats' biggest lead of the game. Johnson on the end of the handball out from Corey, sends it long. Armstrong went with a fist, made some contact. Here's Johnson. He's been in the spotlight in the last few minutes of this game. He got the football back there. Well done, Johnson. Handball to Matness, sold him into trouble. The handball towards the line, and Hawkins with the last touch.
It's just been played. Really, when you analyse the game, it's been played a hell of a lot in Geelong's half of the ground, which makes it very difficult to score and very difficult to start to put pressure on your opponents.
Free kick Mumford's way. Mixer, the question then obviously needs to be asked, can Geelong, I mean, how far can they go outside of the top four in this year's finals? I mean, there has been talk that this might be the year to win it from outside the top four. What do you think is a genuine prospect of that happening?
Well, I do believe this in this case, because Geelong is so experienced. They understand every game in the final series, so there's no dramas whatsoever in them understanding the game, and that's not taking anything away from the other sides in the bottom of the end of the four, but their momentum over the year has picked up, and sometimes you just think, oh, it's fallen right off, but it's the calibre of these leaders that just say, I've been here before, leave it to us, and they've been just so beautifully done. They'll be a very hard side to beat when they get the finals.
Malcheski off the ground there with the blood rule. What do you think, Tom? Do you think there's a genuine belief that they can do it from outside the top four?
I think there's a genuine belief they can do it from outside the top four, and I genuinely believe they can win the premiership. They've had good performances against good sides over a long period of time, and you wouldn't want to come up against the Cats in September with players like Bartel and Selwood. Johnson's about to get the ball on the flank over here, as Mick said. So many good, experienced, top-line players.
Johnson goes short, beautiful ball to Murdoch. I mean, you're asking Tommy a question. If the Cats missed the 8, he'd still think they could win the premiership. Murdoch, he's got a long boot. He kicks just off the side. It starts to curl. Doesn't have the distance on this occasion. Strong grab from Teddy Richards, who Mick Malthouse said is in all-Australian form and having the year of his career. He's had 11 years so far, and this has been his best. Goods couldn't take it. Taylor picks it up quickly to the hot spot. Who's there? Jimmy Bartel.
I just wonder whether the cue's been put in the rack. I know the player group would be saying no. John Longway would say no, but the reality is you can't chase Geelong down from 6 goals behind, which they're going to have to do. And they know there's a final next week. And it's one of those little things in the back of the mind, self-preservation now. We can't win it. Don't worry, we're in the finals. Let's make sure we're on the ground next week. And that happens. And it's a shame, but we're looking at a quarter of it, I think.
And you wonder what effect the Hawks' epic last weekend with the Swans has had on this Sydney outfit. So Joel Selwood off with the blood rule. Meanwhile, Jimmy Bartel, the man with the impeccable CV, tries to extend this already extensive Cats lead. From 32, it goes to 38. To sum up how good this Cats outfit has been, Jimmy Bartel still hasn't won a Cats best and fairest.
perennial top 3 vote getter in the best and fairest, Jimmy Bartel. As you mentioned, I think it was at half-time, Hayne. Has all the individual accolades you're after, bar the club best and fairest. Really, I mean, he's been a fantastic player, and he does play more peripheral roles, utility-type roles for Geelong at the moment.
This Bartel reads the ball beautifully, plays in front. He can take the mark overhead or on the ground like that. He's a very difficult player, opponent to play on, because he plays tall when he needs to, and he's a great midfielder. So he's the full package.
17 minutes ago, scores were level. From that point onwards, 6 goals to no score in Geelong's favour. They have absolutely dominated the Cats, and they're out to a 38-point lead. And look, it's worth bearing in mind that Geelong can actually finish 5th. If Collingwood were to be surprise losers to Essendon with this percentage boost, they could well get up the ladder to 5th spot, which would really shake things up a little bit. Ball's still to be won there. Bartel, of course, bottom of the pack, getting his body at the bottom and winning the free kick for his team.
I think you also need to establish that the ladder at the moment, there's only one game difference between Geelong and Sydney. I mean, when Sprouting Sydney has been a great football side, one game over a full season just shows you how close this competition is.
Show you a look at the live ladder in just a moment as Duncan, who's been terrific, plays on in his 50th game. He's had a couple of bounces. He draws the man. That's nicely done. Murdoch. Handball wasn't terrific. Armstrong got in the road. Roberts-Thompson gives it back to Armstrong. Vardy coming to close the gap. Hunt as well. So he has to go back towards midfield. Not ideal. Murdoch's there. So is Kelly. Not sure about that disposal. Well done, Matner. Tackled by Corey. Pretty hot footy in there. And a bounce. Not a bad result.
Yeah, that's been the huge win for Geelong. I think Chris Scott, well, he said before the game, you know, contested possession, you see the live ladder there, it always tells a story at this time of year, but the contested possession at the moment for the Cats, 132 to 120, and tackles 78 to 52 in favour of Geelong. That's what would please the Geelong coaching staff no end.
Well, assuming not a big reversal here, Geelong will play either the Kangaroos or the Dockers in Melbourne next week. Taylor Hunt loses it. Bolton picks it up over the top. Murdoch with his speed just cruises away and finds Corey. They're on here, the Cats. They've got a loose man at half forward. Duncan is chosen. And then he just goes long. Where is Podsiadly? Out the back he lurks. Off hands. McVeigh will get there first. He'll be happy just to concede, and Stokes can't keep it in. So look at Joel Selwood, the Warrior, back in this week. The skipper, Tommy Hawkins and Harry Taylor sit on the bench. It is a side full of stars everywhere you look. Beware the Cats in September.
Hanbury left it behind. Bartel gathers, sends it down towards full forward. Podsiadly! Third attempt. Was he paid the mark? Yes, he was.
Yeah, I can correct it. It's fine. It's a mark. 5 metres. Keep going. Go! Go! Thank you. Where you are.
So it sounds like the umpire called play on. And then from what we were told, he reversed his decision and said, no, I'll pay that mark. Podsiadly with a goal this afternoon. This for a 44-point lead for the Cats. They're locked in now. They will play Fremantle or North Melbourne next week in Melbourne. The kick on its way. The J-Pod has his second. And now it's Sydney staring at a really big defeat, which is not what they'd want on the eve of the finals. Obviously, they have been terrific this year. They've won their last 2 against Geelong after losing their previous 9 matches. They finished 7th last year with 12 and 9, and at the moment it's looking like 16 and 6 in 2012.
All players, key forwards, adept at these sorts of kicks. Nathan Vardy's been a really important player for Geelong. He's come back and he's looked like he's been able to contribute significantly, and he might loom as a bit of an X factor for the Cats in the finals, I reckon.
So 8 in a row for the Cats now, 11 of the last 13. You didn't see this coming when the scores were level for the 5th or 6th time in that 3rd term.
It's a real shellacking now, but you just have to wonder about where the mindset is now. It's only consolation, whatever happens as far as the scoreboard goes, but Geelong have been very dominant virtually through the second quarter. We spoke about how close it was, but it was 20 inside 50s to 8 in the second quarter, and that was when the dominance started to take place. So we shouldn't be overly surprised if the game continued that way.
2 of you guys, 2 Geelong players had the ball locked
Well, this against the flow. O'Keefe, he breaks the run of 8 for the Cats. They needed that. That's an understatement. We're back to 38, but the Cats have all the momentum. It's amazing how quickly this game changed. What we thought was going to be a dogged fight to the end became quickly a handsome Geelong lead, and that against the flow gets the Swans one they really needed. They haven't had a goal since early going in that third term. Kieran Jack put the Swans 6 points in front, 8 goals in a row to the Cats.
Bit of argy-bargy. There's been plenty of that all game, nothing in that.
The other interesting point, it's going to be 3 losses in a row for 3 losses out of their last 4 matches for Sydney going into the finals. In the last 3 weeks, they've lost to Hawthorn, Collingwood, and you would think Geelong here. So not terrific form to be taking into a qualifying final in Adelaide against a team who have been red hot. Let's go down to Brett Kirk.
The substitute's been activated. Stephen Motlop's come onto the ground and Vardy's been rested.
Good on you, Kirky. So that form's got to be a worry, Tim. Tom?
Well, from a win-loss point of view, certainly, Baz, this game hasn't been great for the Swans in the second half, but their form against the Hawks and the Pies is pretty solid, so they'll still be feeling pretty good about themselves. Get Sam Reid back and have a real crack.
Duncan, he's grabbed by Jetta and O'Keefe.
How would they handle this in Sydney now with that record of 3 out of the last 4 losses?
Yeah, there is some worrying signs. No doubt winning makes you feel good about yourself and gives some belief. So some guys will be down in confidence. There's a few guys, Jetta, O'Keefe, Hanbury, that have had quiet days that'll have to get back on the horse pretty quickly.
Hunt on the last line does a desperate job and does it well. Kelly receives and gives it to Scarlett. So 15 years and we think his last. Seen 3 premierships, 6 All-Australians. To Motlop, who's just onto the ground for Vardy, as Kirky said, and we think all is well with Vardy. A wonderful return to football. Hanbury, the 2 fours, and Mackie go at it. Mackie just couldn't control it. Hanbury did a pretty good job in the end.
Very quiet game from Dan Hanbury. Just the one kick, he's had 10 disposals. So I guess you start to look at the upside for the Swans. As Kirky touched on, a few of the players have been quiet today. Need to respond next week in a big final.
Stokes to Mackie, kicked a goal in this term, and then the check side in the Hawkins direction. Bouncing ball, can he get back quickly and grab hold of it? Ugly sort of a bouncy in the end. Richards, Grundy. Richards does well, keeps it in. Pretends he wanted to go away, was happy just to drift over the line. So the Cats, they have another win in the last round of the year. They seem to have a habit of that. They've won their last 5 final rounds of the year by an average margin of 11 goals, and they've given the Swans a bit of a thumping in the last 40 minutes or so. Right now, the Cats by 38, and Joel Selwood, after having a week off, is strapped up and leading this side into September.
And that was his 24th disposal for the afternoon. He's led from the front. McVeigh's been terrific as well. 26 possessions now. Taylor behind Goods. It stays inside the field of play. Enright, good tackle behind. Bird got him.
Craig Bird.
The worrying stat for the Swans is the low tackle count. Tackling is all about intensity, and the Swans have been the #1 tackling team all year. At the moment, they're getting out-tackled by 22.
Bird's kick hugs the line. Roberts-Thompson might have had West there by the arm, but it's thumped over for a boundary throw-in. So everybody basically taking their breath and just working out what's ahead now.
Well, if they do play Adelaide, the Adelaide ground is also reasonably big. And one thing about Sydney, they play the tighter grounds better because they're able to bottle the game up and get those tackles that Kirky's talking about. So when you haven't got the grounds, when the ground's a bit bigger, then you rely on those pace players. And today's pace players have been right out of the game. I'm talking notably about Jetta and Reece Shaw. They just really haven't had any influence whatsoever.
I agree with that, Mick. When the Swans are up and going, their defence is really running and carrying out the back half, and Geelong's pressure's been outstanding.
I think they've been in the top 2 since June, so it's a long time to be up there and only to fall out in round 23 the week before the finals.
Long time to drop out, isn't it? Hawkins. Kick smothered, he'll get it again. An amazing sort of backspin, Phil Mickelson style, and it stayed in, and Chapman picked it up. Podsiadly the target, just goes through hands, ends up with Jetta, Matner, McVeigh. They work it back now to Richards. LRT, he's been thrown all around the ground this year. Short ball to Armstrong. He juggles, and it's been an indifferent week for the Armstrongs. The passing of Neil and Lance's well-documented trials and tribulations. And then Armstrong comes in. The Swans have had a pretty tough afternoon. McGlynn just runs to half forward. It's all about the bounce now. Once, twice, and enough. So they get back-to-back goals, the Swans, and they narrow the margin. The Cats in control. Well, even if, Mick, they can salvage something after out of the last 10 minutes, the Swans, they don't want to have a really bad last half going into the first week of finals.
Well, I don't think I know this sounds strange. I don't think the last game really matters. It's more the lead up to the last game. And if they've lost 2 prior to this, that's a problem.
Just a long goal in from Ben McGlynn. He's had a pretty interesting afternoon, playing a variety of roles. One of the big talking points from the Swans' point of view will be Heath Grundy, obviously, how he fares with the match review panel, with Adelaide having 2 power forwards in Tippett and Walker. They'll need him up and about next week.
Corey gets a quick kick down towards Duncan. Here's Armstrong. He worked his way in front. Duncan never let up, though, behind Grundy, out to McVeigh. And now the kick forward. Rather, it was Matner, and it ends up with Grundy and Mike Pike, a good mark. He goes back to McVeigh, sold him into a little bit of trouble, and in turn the compliment was returned. That was bad luck. McVeigh with 30 disposals. Stevie Johnson now sends one long down towards half forward. Good mark, Hawkins. Body in front, hands on the footy, and eyes only for it. The kick not so good, and Malcheski's fist over the line. It'll be thrown in.
It's becoming a factor, Hawkins. Not today. He's becoming a finals factor, and there's going to be some very nervous key backs playing in the final series.
Premiership in game 43, a second premiership in game 79. Game 100 this afternoon. Selwood, quick kick smothered. Grundy, he just holds his man up. Underneath it all is Christensen.
Well, I don't reckon there's a key defender in the game, Mick, who's going to be able to match Hawkins one-on-one. He's just so big, so you need the extra support in the third man up. And if Geelong can separate their key forwards, it becomes a real handful for opposing defenders.
Johnson has the ball dislodged. West does a bit of roving. Quick handball to Corey, smothered, and now Kennedy. A chance for the Swans over the top to LRT. No one downtown. We just work it over the top. It'll end up with Pike. The Swans, they're streaming back. It's only Hanbury. He's got Enright to beat. Howlett settle. Ugly bounce, perfect for Goods. Kicks it forward. Settles, maybe. That'll do. That will do for Goods. 3 in a row to the Swans. So the Cats, after kicking 8 in a row, have had the last 3 kicked against them. With 7 minutes to play, we've pretty much written off the Swans, but things are starting.
Well, we've seen a bit of this from Geelong this year, haven't we, Haim? A couple of times that we've seen them, they've had comfortable leads and then just let them be frittered away. It's back to 26 points.
Well, Big Pike, he kicked the football in there, really with a bit of luck, and Adam Goods, he just followed up that football, couldn't pick the football up, and you'll hope he didn't do a hamstring doing it, but just enough now to put the boot to it and finish off. He's had an indifferent game. Goods. Taylor's probably been the better opponent, or a better player out of the 2, but Goods has kept Taylor honest, where he hasn't been able to dominate the air.
Ball thrown up second time around. Corey gets it down to Johnson, who goes with a long kick, a bouncing ball inside 50. Tough one. The back, Grundy couldn't control it. It's right on the 50, and I reckon is going to be bounced.
Well, there's those hamstrings that we are so dear to Sydney. I know he did a groin early in the season. I think it was a groin or a high hamstring, so they need him up.
I don't even think he's got a problem. I just think he likes a couple of women working on the upper thighs.
It's tough to be the king. Here's the ball kicked forward by Kelly, down towards Podsy Adley. Umpire.
You grabbed him in the throat. No, you grabbed him in the throat.
This time around he's going the other way. We saw one in the third quarter, which was a very tough call, and in a similar position, but it was ruled the other way, this time against the offensive team, as Alex Johnson hugs the line and kicks towards the big man who's marked in Mumford. Plays on quickly.
Now Pike's on the other end of it. Long ball. Well done, Harry Taylor. Went back with the flight, got crunched, took the ball in his hands and quickly ricocheted out. But Bolton, Parker, McVeigh, now Hanbury, and the short ball finds McLean. He dropped it, play on the call. Mackey and Bartell helps Mack out. They hold it up. O'Keefe comes in, and this is a little bit left in it, this game. You think the Cats are all but home, but the Swans are charging late. You can see if they can just jag one here, the Swannies. Taylor Hunt taken to ground. They roll around. We see Chris Scott there, Mick. I assume when you're in the coach's box, Football Nation says the Cats home. I bet you think you're never home until that final siren sounds.
Oh, you have got an idea, but you just want to make sure that the side doesn't get a little bit of a sniff and change the course of it because it's been a bit sloppy.
Bartell hurriedly out of the defensive area. Motlop handball intercepted by Kennedy. Sort of a tumbling ball. Jimmy's there, just steps inside. Bolton, wonderful tackle. Mumford has knocked it on. O'Keefe to Hanbury. Scarlett, desperate, just kicks. It'll fall for Selwood. Run was good from Stokes. The kick equally as good.
James Kelly's had a massive game. He's just laid his career-high 15th tackle. Joel Corey's also got career-high numbers in tackles. He's at 13, and we've spoken about the intensity.
Just bring it back. James came through the mark just before I called play on.
So that's James Kelly that he's talking about, who was going off the ground to have a rest.
Deserves a rest, James Kelly's been magnificent.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, Kelly with 22 disposals today, Johnson with 22 and a goal, and Joel Selwood, the skipper, 26. He's led from the front. McVeigh, 31 and 2 goals for the Sydney Swans. He's had some sort of game as well, and that's a good mark taken by Richards. Here's McVeigh for 32. He kicks towards the middle of the ground. Goods. He did bring it to ground. Bolton, great tackle. Mackey. Scarlett over the top. Duncan. Taylor Hunt. Now Podsy Adley, he's a thumping kick. He sends it home for a little bit of icing on the cake. It's just offline and a behind. Geelong by 27 points.
So the Swans have got the Crows next week, and right now is it at Amy Stadium. They've lost 12 of the last 14, the Swannies, to the Crows. And the Cats will play either the Kangaroos or the Dockers, pending the results this afternoon. Mackey picks it up, then loops the handball over the top. Johnson receives. Mumford, he puts a bit of pressure on. West receives and then dishes it off. Taylor Hunt. Jack does the tackling. Hunt got a foot to it, knocked it wide to Stevie J, and then to half forward the ball flies. Richards is there again. He's been so reliable for the Swans this year. Kennedy, he switches the play. Motlop's got McVeigh to beat. The bounce works out okay. Lewis Roberts-Thompson over the top to Armstrong. Goods, he's in the middle of the ground, and that's where it ends up. Mumford and Bolton, the only two options inside 50. Mumford, well, he was chosen, I think. The bounce was cruel. It was okay for Josh Hunt. He just handballs to West, and they'll work it through the middle. Murdoch, little give to Scarlett. It was pretty hot, but Scarlett's got time. The ball will settle. And over the top he goes. Armstrong, Jetta, he was terrific in the end. Took it in the left, gave it off. Matner just works it through to O'Keefe, and now to Hanbury. And McGlynn traps it with one hand. Back it goes to Parker. Breaks the tackle, still at half forward. High up and under. Enright is there, so too Bolton. He goes back with a flight. And the old wily veteran can try and make it 4 in a row for the Swans and narrow it to just 23 or 21 points.
There's no doubt he's going to go for it because he's just got a heart that just says it's in his DNA. He's going to go for everything and anything.
Back this afternoon, kicking goals for the Swans. 4 in a row now to Sydney. And the Cats lead by 21. So the time, it's against them. But when you thought it was about to get ugly, the Swans have charged late. hard to fault the way he's played over the journey, isn't it, Jude Bolton?
Well, you'd like to have his record under your, on your CV. He's just a player that you just admire so much because of his endeavour.
So as Hamish said, the last 4 goals of the game to the Sydney Swans. The game gone at that point, but even so, Geelong would like to finish off with some intent and send a bit of a message. I saw a long kick marked by Johnson. It was Selwood. He gives it off to Grundy. Does Johnson. Sends the ball. Not a great kick. Enright was favoured by it. And he gets it on the bounce and sends it long down in the Stokes direction. Bouncing ball. It's knocked out Podsy Adley's way. That was a brilliant little touch across by Hawkins. And finally, Geelong get their 16th goal of the game.
Worked his way into the game really well, James Podsiadly, and it's where Vardy does become really important. You see Hawkins and Podsiadly both involved in this setup here. Hawk with a very deft touch over the top, and Podsiadly very agile for a big man. And if Vardy can get up and recover well from this game, he can also play as a forward ruck with West. So the balance is pretty good, and we've spoken a couple of times, Mick, about the importance of really big, strong forwards in finals footy, because the ball comes in long, typically from a clearance. All 3 of them loom pretty large in the next couple of weeks.
And also, Tommy, very few clubs, even in the final series, have got key backs that can match 3 talls.
Holding. Corey. Joel! Push out! Push out!
Second week in a row, Mick, that the Swans have conceded 100 points. They'd only done it once before this year, and that was against St Kilda, so a little bit leaky in the last few weeks. Tomahawk, he'll add to the Cats' total, you'd think now.
Well, when you go inside front 50 69 times, that's what Sydney be looking at and going, you know, we're not only going to be losing the game, but the amount of times the opposition with less possessions have gone inside the front 50 and they've capitalised, and as you said, go over 100 points. That's not good coming to final series. Last night's game, 14-10, they're the sort of games that you want to go into a final series with.
Well, right now he leads the Coleman race. He starts at left and never looked likely. So he remains with 3 for the afternoon, 3 goals, 1. He's on 61 for the season. Pavlich sits on 60.
Yeah, that's how many the Pavs got to chase at Patterson Stadium tonight. That's going to be an interesting call, Tom, isn't it, for the Coleman medal?
Yep.
Come on then.
Pavlich playing?
Pavlich playing tonight, we think. Is Motlop marks.
Revolt has the power tomorrow to kick goals against. He's one behind the Pav.
Motlop's kick to Chapman, handball over the top. Well, there's 2 to chase for the Pav because Hawkins has 62 for the season and 4 this afternoon.
He's had a great season, Tom Hawkins. He came of age, I guess, during the finals last year. Had a really good final against Hawthorn, obviously a really good grand final against Collingwood, and then just continued his form. He's marked well all year, and what he's been able to do late in the season is just go back and kick those clutch goals. He's going into the finals in great form, feeling pretty good about himself.
And there's one back for the easy one that he gave away at the start of the game. So, you know, football has a way of just levelling out, Tom.
Yeah, it does. There you see the tally just there.
He seems to be a very humble person, Tom. He looked like he was almost embarrassed about that goal. And he seems to want to kick the goals that are big goals, a hand me over top like that.
Yeah.
It seems to just be embarrassed about
really conscientious kid, and he's been playing in a forward line with a lot of big names and superstars, and now that forward line is his.
The Motlop started with the vest on for the Cats. Now the construction worker's got a vest on and getting plenty of the football late in this game. So Grundy from Matna, the Swans, they've been plucky in this last term. They kicked 4 in a row, but the Cats have got the last 2. Jack to Armstrong to Kennedy. The Swans will play Adelaide next week at Amy's Stadium, which means there is a preliminary final, one way or the other, interstate, or out of Victoria, I should say. Kieran Jack, long ball, all Cats. Trent West, last line. And the Cats natives will be very happy with what they've seen. Come September, come the Cats.
Murdoch then with a kick towards Malcheski. Stokes got his handball out to Kelly. He has been terrific today, as we've heard a couple of times. That's disposal 23 if he got one in there. And, well, he's going to get one now. I think a free kick.
16 tackles. Baz, 89 for the Cats, 68 to Sydney. That's been one of the real differences. They've just controlled the clit situations.
Matner was in his back there. And there is the siren. Geelong are staying at home. They'll be in Melbourne in the first week of the finals. Their premiership defence begins right here in Victoria. 17-10, Sydney 11-12.
Geelong Warrior Joel Selwood, how is it important to play a game like this coming to the finals, Joel?
Oh, yeah, it is. I mean, you want to play the best sides. We'll come up against another one next week, so I think the boys played really well today. Little patches towards the end, we probably could have finished off the game better, but yeah, it's a tick.
From the outside looking in, it looks like there's a mutual respect for the way you and the Swans play your footy.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they've been a hard side that we've really respected for a long time now, and they're going to be hard to beat come final time.
And what about Matty Scarlett, possibly his last game here? What makes him such a good player?
Well, I think we saw today. I mean, down back he was a real general, and if it is his last game here today, I reckon it was a pretty good one.
Thanks for your time, mate. Good luck in the season.
So the Cats make it